to work. Mommy, I need.
That is almost all relevant.
Mommy, that is doing more.
So Australia, let me tell you a little bit about Australia. So that's the whole idea. Okay, I shouldn't have asked the questions. So Australia, you know, Australia is really, really, really big. And it's really, really, really hot.
My mom goes to the other side of my border.
Really?
And my sister goes to school.
Okay,
That
great.
is brilliant. Okay, so let's talk about Australia because there's so many great things about Australia. One thing is the animals. So today we're going to spend a little time talking about the different animals which are in Australia. And you may have seen some of these animals.
I want to talk about Nemo.
Okay, we'll talk about Nemo in a second. You'll see a lot of these animals from some of the shows you've seen, or if you've been to the zoo. So why don't we run through it? We've got a few animals. We want to talk about the cute, the cuddly, the thorny, the spikely, and the dangerous. Are you ready? Okay, let's go.
We're ready. Yeah. So whenever you want to change, you just tap on the screen.
Okay, so now we're at the cute and cuddly.
That's me.
That is Tennyson. Is that Tennyson?
No. Yeah.
It is, I think it is. So let's just start at the top. These ones, they're called possums.
Those are mouses.
They're like mouses, but they're actually possums. The difference is a mouse lives on the ground. A possum lives in a tree.
I see stuff on the ground. I go to a school bus when I went to school.
That is brilliant. The next one, that one is called a wombat. I'm not sure if any of you people have heard about
I
wombats.
do get wombat.
There's a wombat back there. And you know the special thing about wombats? They live underground. They dig holes under the ground and they live there. And then finally, my favorite, you know what this is?
Tennyson.
It is Tennyson. Of course it's Tennyson. There's also a koala bear. You a koala bear? It's a koala bear. They are super, super, super cute. You know what they do all day long? The only thing they do all day long is they eat leaves off the trees and they sleep. That's what they do.
They sleep in a bed.
No, they sleep in the trees.
What?
That's right, believe it or not.
And sleep on the tree.
So let's go to the next set of animals.
Oh, harder.
Then you go sing, we'll sing with you.
Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. We've got what I'm going to call the unique animals. These are really different.
We're going to see who's in a minute.
We are going to be, I promise you. But do you know what that animal? Do you know what the animal is?
Kookaburra.
It's a kookaburra. You know the best thing about the kookaburras?
Kookaburra.
It is a bird. And you know what kookaburras do? They peck, but they laugh. Do you know the kookaburras laugh? Do you want me to make a kookaburra laugh?
Yeah.
Should I tell you what it sounds like?
Yeah.
It does this. It goes. And like it's laughing. In fact, there's a song about kookaburras. You gonna sing it with me? The song, remember? You can just listen. Okay, remember? It goes. Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree. Merry, merry king of the bushes he. Laugh, kookaburra, laugh. Kookaburra, how gay your life must be. You know that song, don't you? Yeah. The other animal. Anyone know what this animal is?
Kangaroo.
Kangaroo. We've got one. Exactly right.
Kangaroo like this one.
Exactly right. And you know, you may have seen kangaroos. Anyone watch Winnie the Pooh?
My dad loves kangaroos and when she walks over to the grass when she goes into the jungle.
That could happen. Has anyone watched Winnie the Pooh?
Yeah.
Who watched Winnie the Pooh? Hands up if you've seen Winnie the Pooh.
I want these.
Okay, can you remember in Winnie the Pooh there are two animals. One's called Kanga and one's called Roo. You remember those two animals?
I know Winnie the Pooh.
You're Winnie. You could be Winnie the
I
Pooh
can
too.
be a bear.
Winnie the Pooh is a bear, but he's got two friends called Kanga and Roo, and they're kangaroos. What they're doing in the middle of the English countryside, we still haven't quite worked out yet, but they're actually Winnie the Pooh. Hey, what do kangaroos do? You gonna show me? What do? That's it. They jump. Do it again. But you know how they jump this high, don't they? Bong, bong, bong. You know, they can jump as fast as a car can drive.
Wow.
They can jump. So if you have playtime, I think you should all practice your jumping afterwards.
In the big one, you can practice.
Okay, let's get to the next one.
Oh, but what about the babies?
Oh, you're right.
Oh, yeah.
The babies.
Joey.
Do you know what the babies are called?
You with the daddy made like a kind of.
I think Remy may know what the babies are called.
Oh, yes.
Remy, what's your brother's name?
What's your brother?
Joey.
Yes, that's what baby kangaroos are called. They're called joeys.
Joey.
So you can call your brother a kangaroo if you want. No? You don't want to,
AJ.
sorry? They're called AJ?
I want Smile.
Yeah. Alright, let's jump to the next one.
Monkey.
This is the thorny and the spiky.
Those are the dinosaurs.
Does that look like a dinosaur?
No. It's a dinosaur.
Why not? It looks like a dinosaur to me.
No, it's not a dinosaur.
It almost looks like a dinosaur. It's missing the wings though, right? It doesn't have any wings. Dinosaurs have wings. It's like a crocodile. We haven't gotten to the crocodile yet. That's not a crocodile. That's called a goanna.
A goanna?
It's a goanna monster.
I go to my church, but a lizard.
You can use go in front of a lot of words. That is one. What? Okay, 1 second. One more thing before we get to Bruce. This is called an echidna. And it's got spikes all over it.
What's it called?
An echidna. It's like an anteater. It's like
It
a
looks like a porcupine.
It's a monotreme.
It's a what?
Monotreme.
And this is where I go to first grade.
You know what that thing is there? Does anyone know what that thing is there?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's long.
It's his nose. And you know what it does with his nose?
Yeah.
It eats ants. It goes around and eats ants. It goes in the ground and goes,
It's like
and
a
it eats
house.
ants.
It's like a house.
It's a bit like a house, you're right? Okay,
Not my house.
let's get to the favorite, the dangerous, because all of, oh my God, Tennyson, what's that? Who's that? It's Bruce. Who's seen Finding Nemo? It is. It's like everything is so cool. Hey, before we get started, calm down. Oh. It is. Okay, first question. Who's watched Finding Nemo? Put your hand up if you've seen Finding Nemo. You have. You watched it a lot. So in Finding Nemo, two things happen. One, there's a shark called Bruce. You remember Bruce? And he was pretty scary, wasn't he?
No.
He's got big teeth.
He's got big teeth. And then if you remember in Finding Nemo, Dory and Marlin got stung. And they got stung by these jellyfish. Do you remember that? And they are jellyfish. They're the things that stung Dory and Marlin.
Yes, I see it in the movie.
Yes.
You have seen the movie, exactly.
What
And what's this?
a snake.
And what noise does a snake make? That's right. There's lots of snakes in Australia. And they're all not very nice snakes. You should stay away from them. And then finally, what's this?
Crocodile.
Yeah. I have a crocodile song. Can you help me sing a crocodile song? Well, I'm going to sing it anyway. Can I sing it?
They have teeth. It's the same one as that.
It is. Amazing. Okay. 5 little monkeys swinging in the tree, teasing Mr. Crocodile. You can't catch me, you can't catch me. Along came Mr. Crocodile, quietly as can be, and snap! All monkeys swinging in the tree. But anyway, you got to watch out for crocodiles because they can sometimes sneak up on you and he may need to wrestle them to the ground. Struth! There's a crocodile now! There I go. Ah! Quick, get the crocodile! Hey, this crocodile is now tamed. He's a friendly crocodile now. I think we'll call him Charlie the crocodile. What do you think?
No, how about kangaroo?
Well, the kangaroo, what's the kangaroo called? Tennyson? Matilda. Matilda?
The crocodile eats a kangaroo.
And what
So-
are those teeth on your hat?
What are these teeth?
Yeah.
These are crocodile's teeth on my hat. That was from the last crocodile who tried to wrestle me. Look where they ended up. They ended up on my hat and on my necklace.
I wouldn't want to wrestle you.
Well, it's dust pretend.
It is pretend. You're right. It's pretend. Okay, kids. So we wanted to spend a lot more time talking about animals by reading a book. You guys want to read a book?
That is it.
And we're going to read this book. It's called Possum Magic. We talked about possums earlier on. The best thing about possums is they have magic powers. So let me spend a little time reading about it, okay? This is Possum Magic. Let's go to the first page.
I'll just remind them of possums.
There is a possum. Let's go back. Can we go back to the possum? I'm not sure.
That's a possum.
That's a possum. Just to remind you,
Oh no. Uh-oh.
yeah, it's that one.
No, it's
That's the possums up there, okay? So remember what we're talking about. Once upon a time, but not very long ago, deep in the Australian bush lived two possums. Their names were Hush and Grandma Poss. Grandma Poss made bush magic. She made wombats blue and kookaburras pink.
Is she doing it?
She made dingoes smile.
Automatic one.
And she made emus shrink. But the best magic of all was the magic that made Hush invisible. Like no one could see Hush, the little possum. What adventures Hush had,
Yes.
because she couldn't be seen. She couldn't be squashed by koalas. Because she couldn't be seen, she could slide down the back of kangaroos. Because she couldn't be seen, she was safe from snakes. Which is why Grandma Poss had made her invisible in the first place. But one day, quite unexpectedly, Hush said, Grandma, I want to know what I look like. Could you please make me visible again so I can see myself? Of course I can, said Grandma Poss. And she began to look through her magic books. She looked into this book and she looked into that. There was magic for thin and magic for fat. Magic for tall and magic for small. But the magic she was looking for wasn't there at all. Grandma Poss looked miserable. Don't worry, Grandma, said Hush. I don't mind. But in her heart of hearts, she did. All night long, Grandma Poss thought and thought and thought. The next morning, just before breakfast, she shouted, It's something to do with food! People food, not possum food. But I can't remember what. We'll just have to go and try and find it. So later that day, they left the bush on this big bike where they'd always been to find what it was that would make Hush see. They ate Anzac biscuits in Adelaide, Mornays and Minties in Melbourne, steak and salad in Sydney, and pumpkin scones in Brisbane. Hush remained invisible. Don't lose heart, said Grandma Poss. Let's see what we can find in Darwin. It was there in the far north of Australia that they found a Vegemite sandwich. Grandma Poss crossed her claws and crossed her feet. Hush breathed deeply and began to eat. A tail, shouted both possums at once, but there it was, a brand new visible tail. Later on a beach in Perth, that's all right, she's not touching right now. Later on a beach in Perth, they ate a piece of pavlova. Hush's legs appeared, so did her body. You look wonderful, you precious possum, shouted Grandma Poss. Next stop, Tasmania! And over the sea they went. In Hobart, late one night in the kitchens of the casino, they saw a lamington on a plate. Hush closed her eyes and nibbled. Grandma Poss held her breath and waited. It worked, she cried. She was right. Hush could be seen from head to tail. Grandma Poss hugged Hush and they both danced. Here we go round the Leamington plate, the Leamington plate, the Leamington plate. Here we go round the Leamington plate too early in the morning. From that time onward, Hush was visible. But once a year on her birthday, she and Grandma Poss ate a Vegemite sandwich, a piece of pavlova, and half a lamington, just to make sure that Hush stayed visible forever. And she did. So this is a book which Tennyson likes to read, don't you like Tennyson? It talks about some of the food, not just the animals. It also talks about some of the food from Australia, which is very different. Sorry? You like the koala? Okay. And so what we'd like to do, we actually brought some Australian food. We brought some of the food which made Hush visible. So if you're ever worried about turning invisible, you're not going to turn invisible anymore because we're giving you the right food. So what we brought is a Vegemite sandwich, and we brought some pavlova. We couldn't find any lamingtons, unfortunately. So I think if it's okay for a snack.
Yes. Oh, yeah. They need to go wash their hands.
Yes.
Although you have to go and wash your hands.
Yes. They know.
Do I remember everything?
Thank you for the story. Come on, let's go wash our hands.
Let's go wash hands.
Okay, you know what the pavlova? The pavlova is really heavy.
Ok, allez-y, c'est bon.
Okay, we're gonna put the crocodile.